how to address low employee motivation, low employee morale. Recently, Gallup reported that only 33% of employees in the US reported being engaged at work. Only 33%. Now, you may think that number is okay. You may think it's higher. You may think that number is lower. But 33% report being engaged at work. Now, there are a lot of things that feed into employee motivation, employee morale. Let's agree there are a number of factors that fall into that: satisfaction at work, pay, culture, team dynamics, a lot of things that go into that. Right now, hybrid, remote, in office, a lot of things feed in to employee motivation. But for those organizations that report a low morale or motivation, let's talk about some key questions that you need to ask to actually figure out what is driving that low morale or motivation in your organization. And before I do that, because I'm getting this question often from people. Before I do that, let me just give you one caveat. And this is a ninja trick. I'm going to put it up front today instead of save it for the end. So listen carefully. If you're in an organization, if you're in an organization that has gone through layoffs recently, if you've gone through reorgs, if you've had massive amounts of change, do not, please do not provide or issue or distribute an employee satisfaction survey immediately after massive amounts of people have lost their job or you've gone through a reorg. Now, you may say, Cicely, that's insane. I see it all the time. Listen, our career community here, our career GPS community, these are the kinds of questions I get. These are the kinds of organizations that are reaching out to me for training, for coaching. How do we get realigned after a reorg? Well, you don't send an employee satisfaction survey, and I've been part of so many organizations that did that. Do you want to tank your numbers? Then send it right after there's been massive amounts of change and watch your employee morale drop, just plummet. So that's the ninja trick for today, but let's get back to these questions that you should ask when your employee morale and motivation is low. Number one, it's the elephant in the room. And you may say these are obvious questions. Here's why we're going through them. Because they may be obvious, but so many times organizations, leaders, managers, you're scared to ask the obvious questions about what's driving employee morale, employee motivation. Address the elephant in the room. It's the why. Why are your employees unmotivated? What has driven this change, if there has been a change in your organization? Number two, it's the what. What are some of the most common causes? Is it a reorg? Have you had layoffs? Have you had reductions in force? Have you brought in some new leadership that have changed the dynamic and culture of the organization? What are the common causes that are changing the dynamic of your employees at work? And some of those common causes, let's be honest, could be a change in going back to the office for folks who've been remote or hybrid. I'm hearing that a lot from people in our community as well. They don't want to go back to the office. Is that something you need to address or can you address? Which leads to the how. Question number three. How do you identify? How do you identify what is causing your employees to lose motivation? Well, one key way to do that, sit down with them. If you are remote, get on a Zoom call, a Teams call, a WebEx call. Ask the obvious question, which is, what is going on with you? How are you doing right now? How can I help? When I took over a new organization, was asked to chart a new course in strategy, the first thing I did for the first few weeks was sit down with each employee and say, what do you like doing? What do you not like doing? What are the reasons? Are you engaged? Are you not engaged? Most will answer those questions honestly. They truly will. So when you say, how do I address low employee motivation morale? It's the three questions. It's the why, it's the what, it's the how. And don't be scared to ask those questions. 33% of employees report being engaged, which means there's a lot of folks who are not. Why? Why are they not engaged? As a leader, as a manager, as the organization, you owe it to your employees to ask those questions. And look, if you're an employee going through a layoff or a RIF or something else or reorg, reach out to me, DM me. Happy to help as I'm coaching so many teams and organizations through that right now. There are tried and true strategies that work, but at the end of the day, the ultimate piece of the equation is you have to address it. That is the key. So take these three questions, the why, the what, and the how, and figure out what is driving your employee motivation.